Hey there, vinyl community. It's Joel coming at you from Planet 13, and this is my end of May pickups video. I got a mix of used and new. I got about 14 albums to show, so I'm just gonna dive right in. The first album I picked up is a Record Store Day release of Teenage Head's debut album. If you're in America, you probably haven't heard of this band unless you're kind of near the border, like in New Jersey or Detroit. This was a band that was destined to become like the next, I'd say, Clash. They were like a punky band, kind of poppy. Not as poppy as the Ramones, but poppier than the Clash, I'd say. And they just never made it. They were just, all the chess pieces were set up for them to make it, and just things happened. And this came out in the 70s, 1978, in fact, and it was re-released 2019. Cover price that I paid was about $35. I got it a month after Record Store Day release. They had a few more in the store that shipped in. Record Store Day, I was going for about 45, so I passed, and I got it for a more reasonable price. This does come with a 7-inch, which is kind of cool. As well, so it's kind of cool. That kind of is why it's a little more expensive. But Teenage Head, great band. If you're in America and you see one of their albums, I'd recommend picking it up. You'd like it. And it comes with the some liner notes as well as the record. So it's got a whole history interview. The singer unfortunately passed away. His name is Frankie Venom. He unfortunately passed away in, I want to say recently, but it's probably been near a decade. And in my hometown, where this band originated, they wanted to put up a statue, just to reflect on, how he's a hometown hero. But I don't think they are, due to him having an alleged drug problem and allegedly being involved in domestic violence. Sticking with some Canadian content, this is an album by Toronto. Now, the singer isn't from Toronto. I think she's from New Jersey. Probably wrong there. Maybe it's North Carolina. But yeah, she's not, she wasn't born in Canada. But this is, again, I don't know if this is a band, in the States, but Heart actually did cover. This Toronto wrote a song called What About Love. They never performed it or released it until later. They sold it to Heart, and Heart had a big hit with it. And they kind of sound like Heart, Toronto. Like, there's some comparisons. So if you like Heart, you'd like Toronto. Big song on here, if you want to YouTube it or whatever, if you're interested in this, is Your Daddy Don't Know. It's a big hit in Canada, at least. Now, because Hamilton is such a punk town, I went to my record store to buy some albums, and I picked up a few punk albums, all from one band. They were pretty cheap. The first one is the Misfits' Die Die My Darling. Got this for under $10, and this is just a basically an EP. It's got 3 songs on there: We Bite, Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight, and Die Die My Darling. Die Die My Darling is covered by Metallica. There's the back there. So this is horror punk, kind of poppy, but they kind of get more hardcore later on in their later albums, or album, I guess. Picked up Collection 1 by the Misfits. This was $20. I'm not going to focus too hard on these. This is a band everyone kind of knows, and if you don't know it, you probably won't be into them. But they're kind of just, they sing about B-movies, horror movies, and stuff. This is Collection 2. I've had all these on CD and cassette. If you own Collection 1 and Collection 2, you basically have the entire Misfits collection, minus a couple of songs. And my Misfits collection is almost complete. I only need Earth AD and Evil Live. Next band, I got 2 albums by them. I picked them up because I saw a Spotlight by Corey from Just Add Vinyl, and then Steve Carlson mentioned them as well. And I'll leave the link to Corey's Spotlight below because it's really cool. And if you're not checking out Steve Carlson, check him out. Really cool guy. Every Sunday morning, it's the first thing I do is I wake up, make some coffee, and watch Steve's channel. I think a lot of us do that. So I'll leave a link below to his channel and to Corey's Spotlight. And that's the Budos Band. And this is, I guess it's in its own genre. It's called Afro Funk. So it's kind of, there's no music, or no music, there's no lyrics or vocals in this. It's just kind of, it's very soundtracky. So if you like soundtracks, you'd love this stuff. You know, this would fit in with like a 70s blaxploitation movie for sure, like Coffee or one of those Jack Hill releases. Just, it's kind of got like an urban, just funk, I guess. Really cool stuff. Highly recommend this album. I only have two. They have 5 albums in total. They came out in 2005 and they released their last album, I believe, this year. So they're releasing albums every 3-4 years. This is number 3. This generally is the one people consider the best, but they're all good, I'd say. Very cool stuff, though. Highly recommended. Not that expensive. Cost me 20 Canadian, so that'd be about 16-15 American. Next album I picked up is Iron Maiden. So this is the 7th Son of the 7th Son. Big hit on here is Can I Play With Madness. Lots of cool songs on here, though. And, you know, Maiden is a band that I'm trying to... Here's the inner sleeve. The album's on my turntable, so I won't show that. But Maiden is an album I want to get everything in their discography. And I'm hoping to, at least. So, awesome album. All their albums are pretty awesome. I've talked about Maiden enough, so I won't go on too much about them. Next album I got pretty cheap. It was $4 Canadian, so that's 3 American. It's Blondie's Hunter. Pretty cool album. I guess this was meant for, I forget what that means, meant for deletion or whatever. They have a song on here called For Your Eyes Only, and that was meant for the Bond movie that came out. Producers of the Bond movie asked them to maybe redo the song. Blondie didn't. So they went with, I guess it was Sheena Easton's version. And the big hit on here that I knew before going in was Island of Lost Souls. But this album was not a big hit. It was the last album they released in the 80s. And I don't think they came out with an album until 1999. Very cool, though. And it comes with, mine came with a lyric sheet, which also has that hole in it. And they also do a cover of The Hunter Gets Captured by the Game by W. Robinson. I don't know who that is. Someone can probably tell me, or I'll just do a better job of researching. Next album I grabbed was Cheap Trick, Dream Police. I don't have any Cheap Trick albums on vinyl, aside from this now. I know their hits. I have their greatest hits on CD. Love this band. Want to get all their albums, at least the earlier ones. Melinda just recently picked this up too. She's got a really nice clean copy of it. Mine stinks of cigarette smoke, so it's going to get banished to the basement. I don't want that smoke smell coming on all my albums. I'm very kind of sensitive to smells. I used to be like a wine sommelier at a private club, so I'd buy wine, and I knew nothing at the start. It was just kind of something I fell into, and I kind of developed my nose, I guess, and so any kind of smell I'm just really sensitive to now. I guess the same thing could be said for our ears when we listen to albums. You know, when we start collecting, most of us, at least me, I can't tell anything about the simple nuances, but over time we develop that, you know, that listening skill. So I have that skill, unfortunately or fortunately, with my nose. And yeah, this one stinks at cigarette smoke, which kind of sucks. My Toronto album, it smells like mildew. So that's getting banished to the basement as well. Another album Steve Carlson showed that I picked up really cheap for about $2. So that'd be like $1.50 American. It's The Monks' Bad Habits. And this is a British band. I won't talk about it too much. Jamie's talked about them as well. Jamie Cottle and Naz Nomads talked about them. Jamie and Naz are both Canadians, and if you ever lived in Canada, at least in Ontario, particularly in Ontario, You know about this band. They're a UK band, and they're just huge in this area, nowhere else in the world, really. And there's recently a cover album released of this. I forget who it was, but I know it's got a bunch of famous Canadians on it, including some members of Sloan and the New Pornographers. I'll leave a link if I remember. It's just really cool. It came out a couple years ago. You can't buy it on vinyl. You can only get it on Apple iTunes and other ways of downloading it. But my brother had this, and I remember getting in a lot of trouble because there's a song called "There's Drugs in My Pocket." And I remember going to school and singing this song. I was singing, "There's drugs in my pocket, and I don't know what to do with them." But I'd probably sing it more towards the song. And I remember my teacher just shooting me a dirty look and calling my parents about that. And then they realized it was just from this album. So I did get in a bit of trouble, but I think my brother got in a little bit more trouble. My brother is 9 years older than me. And yeah, just a great album overall. My copy's pretty beat up, but what can you expect for $2? And then the final album I got is Uriah Heep's Look at Yourself. This is the original, it says at least on the sticker, the original first edition cover. Uriah Heep's a band that I love. It's another UK band, and it's a band I'm starting to really get into. You can't really compare them to anyone, but if I could, they kind of like Deep Purple. But yeah, just a great album overall. One of their best. And that's all I got. So thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.